last weekend of winter is looking more like the early part of winter up in the Cascades. This is video from Mount Bachelor where they have seen nearly a foot of snow since last night, and the snow depth there is now more than 130 inches. We have a weather impact alert this weekend for the Cascades with another foot of snow possible overnight. Thanks so much for joining us here at 5. I'm John Adams. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is along with us tonight. And Joe, it doesn't look like the snow is going to be stopping much at all this weekend.
No, outside Timberline Lodge, they're going to be seeing a foot of snow here in the last 24 hours, I'd say by the next hour or so. It's been pretty much nonstop throughout the Oregon Cascades, and that's why we have that weather impact alert tonight through basically the rest of the week. And there's also going to be a weather impact alert throughout the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. But I want to focus on the snow right now where, again, these snow showers are going to just be, incredible here the next 12 to 18 hours or so. What's also going to be incredible is the rainfall that's going to start to be moving in. Basically, the rest of your Saturday is going to be wet, absolutely wet across the board, the coast and throughout the valley, especially down in the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. But the weather impact alert throughout the Oregon Cascades first. Again, winter storm warning through the end of tomorrow. Heavy snow the next 24 hours. You'd be looking at another 12 inches overnight. By the end of tomorrow, there could be another 6 to 8 inches possible. So obviously there's going to be hazardous traveling conditions over the mountain passes. Again, that weather impact alert is going to be tonight through tomorrow. Overnight, I'm forecasting close to a foot of snow. Drive with caution. And again, you could be looking at another 3 to 6 inches of snow by the end of tomorrow. We have lots of watches and alerts to get to. That green color I want to focus on is throughout the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. That's in effect now until tomorrow. That's a flood watch. Again, you see that red color on the southern Oregon coast, high wind warning, and that purple color basically throughout Mount Adams all the way down to the southern central Oregon Cascades is a winter storm warning. So let's kind of break this all down for you. So here the next couple of hours, by 10 o'clock tonight, we're looking at some heavy rainfall, and that's going to be really the case throughout the Eugene area. You can kind of see all those yellows and oranges. That system is just going to kind of stall out and just park over that part of I-5. So that's why we have the concern of a rise in some, urban street flooding and some local rivers down that part of the Willamette Valley. I'll talk more about how much rain you're going to be seeing over the next couple of days in my detailed forecast. That's about 10 minutes from now. John?
All right, Joe. See you soon. The Police and Public Works Department may be getting a new home in the next few years in Tigard. Today, the project's leaders held a public meeting at City Hall to break down the vision to the public and why they say it's necessary. Our Celine Stevens joins us now from the newsroom. Celine, what are they planning?
John, so the plan is to build a safe, modern facility. Right now, the current buildings wouldn't survive an earthquake, and the Police and Public Works Department say they've simply outgrown their current locations as the city has expanded over the years, and they are now in critical need of a secure, centralized location more than ever.
The project's never going to get cheaper. It just gets more expensive over time.
Building a better Tigard. That's the campaign to build a safe, new, combined facility for both Tigard Police and the city's Public Works Department. They say the current facilities are too small and decades outdated, and say there are 9 work sites among police and public works spread out across the city, used for storage and additional office space.
So for our evidence storage, we have to store a lot of that off-site in places that, property that isn't owned by the city, so we have to pay rental. It's not ideal. It's not in our best interest, the community's best interest, for evidence to be stored in a location other than in the police facility.
According to the campaign, the extra storage and office space have cost over $420,000 per year. Tigard Police Chief Jamie McDonald also says they are overcrowded in the space they are in, and says their current buildings are not earthquake-proof.
We're concerned, like most of Oregon is, about a giant seismic event, the subduction zone earthquake. And we're concerned that our facilities wouldn't survive a massive earthquake like that.
The city purchased an undeveloped 9.5-acre property last year where the new building would be built if it makes it on the ballot in May 2026 and if voters vote yes.
For Public Works, our primary need tends to be the yard space. We have a lot of large vehicles, that we use to maintain the systems out there. And we've been short on space for about 10 years.
As for the price tag and who pays for this if it's passed,
we already did a community survey, and talked about $150 million for the cost of the project, and that's, you know, an estimate at this point. So it actually would be a bond, and so it would be additional tax on a property tax bill. And right now the estimate is it would cost about an extra $100-ish.
That extra $100 or so is per year on property owners. If the council refers it to the voters next year, voters will be able to vote on this in May 2026. It's currently unclear what would happen to the current locations that the Police and Public Works Department are housed in right now. John?
All right, our Celine Stevens tonight. Celine, thank you. New tonight, one person was hospitalized Friday with serious injuries after they were hit by a car. It happened around 10:15 p.m. at West Burnside and Southwest 13th outside of the Crystal Ballroom. The driver left the scene before police arrived and no one has been arrested. If you have any information, email crimetips@police.portlandoregon.gov. Well, you may have noticed an increase in police vehicles around the Rose City. Portland Police is teaming up with fellow state, county, and local law enforcement. They'll be conducting traffic enforcement missions through St. Patrick's Day. Officers see an increase in impaired driving during holiday weekends. Their hope is to reduce the number of deadly crashes.
And the hardest part for me is the very end of the call out. It's when I have to go to the residence where the person lived and tell their loved ones that they're not coming home. And the sad thing about it is that these crashes are entirely preventable. There are multiple ways to get from point A to B safely, not just during this enforcement period, but any day of the year.
Last year, during their St. Patrick's Day enforcement, they gave out nearly 1,000 citations and made 75 arrests related to speeding, impaired driving, and distracted driving. An Oregon nonprofit forestry group dedicated to replanting trees in areas hit by wildfires just had its federal grants revoked. The group Our Community Forestry says they just got notified in January about funds being frozen and later canceled. Since 2019, it's helped replant climate-resilient trees while creating safer urban forests in areas like Ashland, Phoenix, and Talent, Oregon. The organization has used about $100,000 of $600,000 in grant money to help underserved residents replant trees where they live. But even with their funding being revoked, they're determined to continue their mission.
We are, going to continue to find ways to secure funding through grants and things like that. Obviously, probably focusing a little bit more on state support.
Ralph says the Oregon Department of Forestry awarded them $190,000 to continue with projects already underway. The group for now says it can't accept new applications for help. In Washington, veterans representing nearly all branches of the military marched on the state capitol in Olympia to protest cuts to the federal government. They say many of the fired federal workers are veterans, and the cuts are having a negative impact at places like the VA. The former director of the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs was among the protesters.
Because right now, the way that it's been working, our veterans are already feeling the effects of the decisions that have been made by this administration. Losing jobs after they have worked so hard to be able to get them.
Protesters say about 30% of federal workers are veterans, and thousands have lost their jobs in the past 2 months. In health news, leaders at OHSU are dealing with growing concerns over extreme capacity issues at its emergency department. Patients often wait hours and in some cases days for much needed care. At a roundtable discussion at OHSU, hospital officials shared concerns over capacity issues, not just here, but all over the state, especially in emergency departments.
The ED is where problems become evident because, again, we're the safety net and we're the backup plan. So we are where people go when they can't access care, and we're also where patients stay when they can't get into a bed.
OHSU attributes the expanse of emergency patients to 3 contributing factors. More people simply need access to medical care. Hospitals are full and patients are sicker. State health officials say right now the flu is a big reason for that. They add it's not too late to get your flu shot if you haven't already.